All right, hi, this is Josh, and oops, welcome to my online SAT math course tonight. This is lesson number 5, Inequalities. Having a late start due to some technical difficulties, but we're going to have the class tonight from 7:30 to 9, or it might run a little bit longer. So welcome one and all for coming to my SAT math course offered for free online. And tonight, as a surprise, I'm trying to live stream on Twitch. So if you're on the Twitch community and you'd like to study some math, SAT, you can join me here. I have the chat window here on my side. If you're to join me, you can type in chat if you'd like copies to the form links as we work through the lesson tonight. Just as a heads up, if you're watching this, you must be watching a recording, as I wasn't able to do an ad blitz again this week due to other work responsibilities. However, this is a class by donation. It is my course that I wrote for tutoring houses here in New York City. It goes for $1,500 to $2,000 per child. So if you have a child in high school getting ready for the SAT, I'm offering it for free as a thanks, as a person who literally spent many years performing circus juggling and unicycling and wire walking, and also working as a musician to pay my way through college and graduate school. So as a way of giving back thanks after being a teacher for 15 years, and also to look for more teaching work as I continue as I transition to be a teacher over 15 years ago. So thank you so much. Again, this class is by donation. The recommended fee is $50 per lesson. This is completely optional. You can pay between 1 cent to $1,000 if you like. And that can be paid for on Venmo at Joshua Wiener 10. If you'd like further information, you can Gmail me at JW2542 @gmail.com if you would like the form links or support, or even a personal tutor, or check out my Wix, which I'll explain later. Let's get started though. Tonight is lesson 5 of 22 lessons, and it's a focus on inequality problems for the SAT. If you're getting ready for the SAT mathematics exam, remember it is still the ELA and math test for high school students to add to their college portfolio if you'd like to get ready for college. The SAT focuses mainly on the following topics: Algebra 1, geometry, coordinate planes, charts and graphs, probability and statistics, and a few other math topics. In fact, the SAT has very few problems from Algebra 2 or trigonometry. And the new digital form that will begin next year will also pare down from the 58 questions listed to a tentative 44 questions for the math part. And also topics such as complex numbers, which are used by engineers and computer scientists, and in other college disciplines in STEM fields, will be eliminated from the exam. There will be no more questions on complex numbers. Complex numbers, STEM fields are science, technology, engineering, and math professional careers. So let's get started tonight. You can see that I've been spending the last 15 years creating an SAT class as part of my duties as a teacher. I spend most of my time paid hours tutoring one-on-one, grades 5 to 12, as well as college and graduate students. But for the SAT, it's good to have a checklist of skills. So you'll see here that each lesson focuses on a specific math topic so that you can checklist as you get ready for the SAT, and you've gone through a course that has covered 95 to 100% of the questions that you will encounter on an SAT exam. It's a standardized test. So there will always be questions on linear equations and word problems. There will always be a batch of questions that are testing your knowledge of quadratics. There will certainly be several questions on geometry, including the Pythagorean theorem, SOHCAHTOA, and then a few questions in section 4 with charts and graphs and science-related questions. So as you get ready for the SAT, remember also that the math exam is organized in this fashion so that for a beginner, the multiple choice is split into easy, mid, and challenge level blocks. Same for section 4, those 30 multiple choice are in easy level, mid-level, and challenge level questions. I'll show it to you here in this color slide. You can see that in section 3, which has 15 multiple choice, the SAT is more or less all level 1 questions in the easy block. The level of difficulty is 1, 2, and 3 in the mid-level, and the challenge blocks are clustered here, questions 11 to 15. Then a little microcosm when you go into the grid-ins, it starts with easy level usually and ends with the challenge level questions. Similarly, in section 4, most of the level 1 and 2 questions are the first 10. They become more difficult in the midsection, but the hardest, ranked number 5, are clustered in the challenge level block 21 to 30. This pattern repeats as you go to the grid-in questions where there's no multiple choice. So with that structure in mind, we found that tutoring houses, over 90% of students that I've worked with in the last 15 years do well if they just do the first 10, try and get 10 out of 10. And then skip the challenge level block, do any ones you find easy in the grid-ins, then mark the time. So you have 14 minutes left. Then go back to the problems you skipped, do the challenge level block with those last 14 minutes and any questions you skipped. Similarly, in section 4, do the first 20 questions, try and get 20 out of 20. And then take a breath, skip the challenge level block, do any grid-ins that are easy for you, mark the time. Say you've got 25 minutes left of the 55 minutes. Then go back and use that last time to work through the challenge level problems. With this basic strategy, working as a teacher and tutor for the last 15 years, I found that over 95% of my students, whoops, let me go back. What just happened here? The arrows. Over 95% of my students scored between a 5 and 600 using this method on our 4 practice SAT exams. So scores can really improve. At tutoring houses, a lot of students that come are first generation who will be going to college. And as addition to that, they speak multiple languages. You meet amazing students who English is not their first language. They speak, this course is taught at a tutoring house. A lot of students speak Chinese, they speak Cantonese, Mandarin, they speak Vietnamese, they speak Russian, Italian, they speak Spanish. So English is not the language that their family speaks at home. So getting ready for standardized tests and managing their time is very difficult. But using this basic strategy of easy and mid-level questions only, they get their scores ready for college. Okay, and if you look at the normal curve, which is normalized data for 1 million, 2 million data points, 2 million test takers, if you stack all those together and take the average, they become normalized. So the average score is calculated from the 58 questions. Let's say the average student gets 30 correct out of 58, 30. Then that is given the 500 score. And something is used called the sum of squares, and the standard deviation, variance and standard deviation is calculated. And then if you get a certain number of questions more than, say, 30, then you get a 600 score, and then 2 standard deviations is 700, and 3 standard deviations is an 800. And that will be close to the perfect score based on the spread of the student replies to the SAT 58 questions. Note that the lowest score you can get is a 200, getting 0 correct, and the highest score, a perfect score, would be 800 in the math section. But this split half and half, with 500 being the score that colleges are really looking at. If you're going to take this standardized test, and I mentioned this to students with all honesty as an educator, well, these are optional. You create your college portfolio, but if you're going to include an SAT or ACT score, try and get to the right half of the bell curve, right? If you're going to include it as a metric in your portfolio, you have your school grades, you have your extracurricular activities, you have your after school activities that might be graded. But if you're going to get a 400 on the SAT, there's really no real point in including it on your high school record that's being sent to colleges. Colleges know that you're a human being and you have a multitude of factors, of variables that go into what makes you you and will make you valuable to their college community. And colleges know this. Okay, so it's not just how you perform under a time standardized test that determines if you should be part of a college community. There are many other factors. So speak with your guidance counselor, but it's my job for this test to get you to the right of that mean line to the 500 score or above. Okay. We're still focusing on the first 10 lessons, which focus on algebra and some basic skills that you should have before you get ready for the exam with that 500 or higher goal as your SAT score on an official test. You should know what PEMDAS is, the order of operations. You should be familiar with linear and quadratic graphs and word problems, linear equations such as slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, adding or subtracting to equations, and that there are shortcuts on the problems that are time savers because it's a time test. So if your teacher has not shown you ways of doing math faster, that's also what I provide for you as a tutor, are ways to get each problem done in less than 2 minutes, showing you a method and a shortcut that I personally would use to solve the problems in less time. Tonight, our lesson of focus is on inequalities. And you can see on the first page, we're going to go over the English vocabulary for expressions in word problems for these inequalities. We'll go over some basic inequalities for the first two examples, and then a mid-level and a challenge level problem. Before we go through this tiered system that we use at tutoring houses to get ready for inequalities problems, what we will do is we'll do just like in class at school, we'll do a practice quiz. So I offer you tonight SAT class lesson quiz number 5. And I will also put this in the chat window. And if you're watching on Twitch or have joined me on where it's live streaming on Twitch, I'll also share with you the link to the quiz, which is this blue link here. So if you can click that off the screen, it's the Google form. And I've saved it on my Columbia Drive. I went to Columbia University Teachers College for my master's. And I'll click that link here once again. Hold on just a second. All right, so I'm copying a fresh link that goes to the same form, and I'm putting it in the chat window. You join me here. And what I'll do is I'll also do that here on the Twitch account. So if you give me just a moment, I have a split screen, so I'm going to go in and get that for you here in just a moment. So if you'd like to participate as well, welcome. This is the SAT lesson number 5 quiz. Where is it? Here. So I'll give you a fresh Google link. The script might be different because you can refresh it when you have new students join the room. So the coding might be different, but it goes to the same Google form. So I'm putting it in chat with a tag here. The do now is SAT quiz number 5. And this is how we warm up in tutoring class. You have 5 practice questions and 10 minutes total time. So what I'll do is I'm going to start my stopwatch here tonight, and it is October 10th. And I'm going to mute so that you guys can work quietly, and I will see you in 10 minutes. So please click on the Google form link if you'd like to participate and begin SAT quiz number 2. If you're watching the recording of this on YouTube, you can pause the video as you work on the quiz with as much time as you need, and then replay the video 10 minutes later, and we'll continue with a review of these 5 questions. All right, good luck, and I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Okay, just 3 more minutes on tonight's quiz. 3 more minutes on SAT quiz number 5. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please finish the problem that you're working on and make sure you have an answer for all 5 questions. The 4 multiple choice, make your selection at the bottom of the form A, B, C, D. And also for the challenge question, make sure that you have a final answer. It should be a 2-digit number, hint, hint. All right, so take your time to fill out the form. Make sure you enter your email and your full name. Make your 5 choices for your responses. And then click the submit button and the school computer will auto grade it for you. I'll give you a moment to do this and submit your responses to quiz number 5. While you're wrapping up and coding your form for submission, we're going to start a review of quiz number 5. And what I do for my students is when we go over it in the following class, we go over the most difficult questions for class. But in service to you tonight, and as an introduction to working with a tutor or working with a tutoring house to get organized for a standardized test, I'll show you a method to solve each problem in less than 2 minutes. Okay, so we're going to go through the problems one at a time, and in service to you, here's question number 1, tagged an easy level of the tiered system that we use, easy, mid, and challenge level. So the question reads, well, if 10x plus 7 equals 13, what's the value of 5x plus 4? So I look at this equation as it's given to me, and I see 10x and 5x. So is there a way to go from 10x to 5x? So I'll write down with my yellow chalk, 10x plus 7 equals 13. Well, that's half but there are odd numbers there. So I'm going to subtract 7 first. 10x equals 6. Now I'll divide both sides by 2. And I know that 5x equals 3. I'm going to stop there because, as I mentioned from the get-go, we're looking for shortcuts. 5x is now 3, so I can bring that to the expression that we're going to solve for. 3 plus 4 is 7, and saved a few steps. The correct answer is 7. Since 5x is 3, I just add 4 to that. Since 5x is 3, it's just 3 plus 4 equals 7. Okay, so that's how a worker works a little bit faster as a mathematician or scientist. So once they see the term there and it's defined as 3, then we can just plug it in and done. All right. Any questions about number 1 and the quick shortcut? All right, let's go to question 2. Ta-da. All right, pardon me. Question 2 reads, Sony PlayStation has a central processing unit speed of 3.5 gigahertz. The Microsoft Xbox Series X has a CPU processing speed of 3.8 gigahertz. Since 1 gigahertz represents 1 billion cycles per second, how many more cycles per second, it should say, is the Xbox CPU, central processing unit? Well, a billion, you have to know this from your work in science class, is 10 to the 9th power. Billion is 9th. Million is 10 to the 6th. Oops. 1,000 is 10 to the 3rd power, right? So you should know your 369 as you scale up from science notation. So that means that we have 3.8 times 10 to the 9th, which is that? The Xbox is faster. I'm surprised because, yeah, Xbox and Sony are still, Sony's been dominating for so many years, but Microsoft just brought Activision Blizzard, right? It's 2023. So they're trying to step the game up and keep the Western players. The Asian market is so huge now. Sony is dominating so much, but they're trying to keep their foothold in Asian markets as well. So they bought I'm digressing. Sorry, I said in less than 2 minutes. Minus 3.5 times 10 to the 9th is 0.3 times 10 to the 9th. We're not changing the power. But if I take one of those 10s and rewrite it as 10 to the 1st, 10 to the 8th, I can then change that to 3 times 10 to the 8th. If you remember from science class. Here, I'm going to use my highlighter again so you can follow my math steps. Here, we have to subtract column-wise, but we just subtract the coefficients. The order of magnitude does not change. It's still we're still at the 9th power level, the 10 to the 9th for the speed of the computer. Then by splitting 10 to the 9th into 10 to the 1st times 10 to the 8th, that's equivalent. So all I'm doing is I'm rewriting it as 10 times 10 to the 8th. But I'm using that to change 3 tenths. 3 tenths times 10 is 3. So then I have the number 3 times 10 to the 8th, which we know from science class means that there are 8 zeros that follow, right? There are 8 zeros after the 3. Here it is. That was D. D was correct. 300 million cycles per second. So one way of interpreting that is, check this out. This is kind of mind-blowing. Every second, let's say it's just a binary operation, like a computer can add 2 numbers. That's like in one cycle. Let's just pretend, right? Then they could do 300 million more binary operations, 300 million more every second. If you have the Xbox by Microsoft. So wow, impressive processing speed at 3.8. All right, that was question 2. Question 3, let's go. The Bronx High School of Science had 151 out of 750 seniors accepted into the University of Michigan in 2019. In 1990, there were 83 out of 800. What's the difference in percentage of students accepted to the U Michigan from 1990 to 2019? So I actually returned to Bronx Science to visit and do Project Accepted for students applying to college. And was it Valerie Reedy or Rosemary Jehoda, one of the female principals at the time? She welcomed all the alumni who came back to volunteer for these mock college interviews. And that's exactly what she said, 151 out of 750 in 2019 when I returned to Bronx Science. Let's see, what was it? 1990 was 83 out of 800. And 219 was 151. She was very proud of that out of 750. So Bronx Science students are doing some stellar work. University of Michigan is very impressed with the prep that they've been getting because they're being accepted into those college programs. 151 acceptances, wow. I used my calculator. You're allowed to use a calculator on many of these questions. And it was 20.13%. 20.13% in the year that I returned when our female principal proudly stated that. Compare that to 29 years prior. It was 10.38375%. Aha. So then we have to subtract, find the difference, and just looking, estimating 20, if we do that minus that, it was about 9.75%. The only reasonable answer was D. Okay, but at a glance, you can see 20 minus 10 is about 10%. So just use your estimation skills to save a little time. And D is the only reasonable answer. Just be careful. Just make sure you're like, oh yeah, 15 and 20. And then no, it's not, because we're just doing the difference in percentages of students accepted into Michigan. The end. Question 3. The correct answer was D. Wow, it doubled in acceptance rate from Bronx Science. And a lot of college counselors are definitely recommending that they apply. All right. Question 4. Go Science. I went to the Bronx High School Science test. Question 4. Composition says, let f of x equal 3x plus 5 and g of x equal 1/3 x squared plus 2x plus 2. What is the value of g of f of -8/3? This is made easier if we use a highlighter tool. Let's call f of x, this is the first function. And we have to do x first because it's in the double parentheses first. Then after we find the value of the red box, we're going to move to rule G. It's nested inside. So we do the inside first, then outside when we do compositions. Using my yellow chalk, we have f of -8 on 3, which will be -24/3 plus 5. So it'll be -8 plus 5, which will be -3. Then, sorry, I'm going to pause this because my dad's calling. All right, so now we're going to plug in -3, excuse me, into the. We'll plug -3 into function g. That's what we have to bring into function g. So putting that element in place, here I'll use my highlighter tool. That goes to -3. Then -3 will go in place wherever the letter x was. And we get 1/3 of 9, which is equal to 3 minus 6 plus 2. Just adding positives together, 5 minus 6 is -1. The correct answer was A for number 4A. Check your math if you made a step error. Those are trick answers. Okay, so make sure you went to the F rule first and then G. I think one of those, that'll probably be the reverse. All right. Question 5. The shortest distance between x, y equals 3, 4, and xy equals -5, 12. All right, Skio, I'll try and draw this quickly freehand. On the Cartesian plane is measured by a root b. In simplest form, what is a plus b? So a couple of tricks here I teach my geometry students. You can use a rectangle. It's 3 units this way, but it's 4 this way, so it'll be a little taller that way. And then, though, that would be like 3, 4 this way, so it's really 5. If it's 5, it's like a little less than double. But if I stack 3 of those that look pretty much the same, then I should get up to height 12, right? Because the height is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. So now I'll star the corner points from going too fast. I'm just spacing it out in a clever way. This is 3. This height is 4, right? So this point here is 3, 4. However, remember I said we had to go down to out to -5 here, and then way up to 12. Well, this would be 4. This would be another 4 is 8. So way up here, this is 12, right? Because there are 4 tall, these rectangles I drew. So this is the point -5, 12. You see what I'm saying? All right, now we want to find the distance between the 2 points. What I'll do is I'll draw another rectangle, but this one I'll draw as a wireframe. So we want the shortest distance, which is the diagonal of this rectangle. Here it is. Like that, right? That's the shortest distance. Okay, so how do we find that distance? Well, I'll shade it in as a gray box. It has a base and a height, and we'll use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Let's see how many spaces it is. Well, the base of this pink rectangle, it goes from -5 to 3. So that's 8 units. 5 steps back to 0 plus 3 is 8. Also, it goes from 4 all the way up to 12. So that's another 8 units. So in other words, since I drew it freehand, it doesn't look like it, but this is 8 by 8. This is a square. If I drew it perfectly and not freehand, that pink box should be a square, 8 by 8. So in other words, redrawing it on the left, it should look like this. So then if this is 8 and this is 8, we want to find the distance c, like with the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You know what I'm talking about? So here's our right triangle now, right here. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 8 squared plus 8 squared is c squared. 64 plus 64. No, I'm going to do something a little different. That's the same thing twice. So it's 2 8 squares equals c squared. And then if we square root both sides, we would square root this, we'd square root this element, and we'd square root this. And then c equals 8 root 2. So it's written backwards. So it's 8 square root 2, which you should know from your reference triangles. So with that in mind, 8 root 2 is the correct answer. How do we code that? Well, there's an extra step. A and B in that form means that A is 8 and B is 2. And they wanted A plus B in the final answer. The correct answer was 10. So you can't put 8 square root 2 in the code form. You just have to type the number 10 was correct for question 5. If you got that, good work. And that was a challenge level SAT problem. All right, next we're going to go to the core lesson. Again, thank you for joining me. If you're here on Twitch, I see some folks in the room. And you can check out in the chat window the link if you would like to try the quiz that we just went over on your own. I'll leave the form active so that you can access it if you would like to follow along with this free online course. We're going to focus on inequalities tonight, and I'll quickly read the introduction. We always have a 2 to 4 page mini lesson, 1 to 4 page mini lesson for each of the classes. Inequalities, lesson 5. The SAT math sections will also contain several problems of inequalities. There are also a few with the system of 2 or more inequalities. It is important to be familiar with recognizing these problems as similar equations. When represented in paragraph form, recognizing the key words for these problems is also important. So, here we go. If you see in place the words less than, it's the arrow point, head pointing to the left. Less than or equal to is to the left, or the equal sign underneath it. Greater than is pointing to the right, or greater than or equal to. So these are the 4 most common expressions for inequalities problems. Looking at the first heading, less than can be also written as fewer than. Less than is the same as before, not yet, shorter, or below a certain numerical value. Less than or equal to can also be the expression at most, no more than a number, or less than a specific, no more than or less than a number. Less than a number or less, like 10 or less. How many apples do you have in the basket? Not that many. We have no more than 10. The 10 would be acceptable. How many apples do you have in the basket? 10 or less, if you look at a glance. Greater than. You have more than a certain number. Beyond, surpassing, shorter, above. Greater than or equal to. That should say taller. I'm going to fix that. Let's say taller. It's greater than. If you're comparing a height, well, that is absolutely incorrect. It should say taller. Sorry about that typo. And greater than or equal to, at least, no less than, or a number or more. For example, you have a lot of apples in a basket. Say, how many apples do you think are in the basket? Oh, at least 10. Oh, no less than 10. Look at a large basket of apples. There are at least 10 or more, greater than or equal to. Okay? So just think of a simple example like that. All right, the steps for solving inequalities are the same as when we solve an equation. Just use inverse operations on both sides of the symbol. So here, instead of the 2 lines, we see the lines are just be careful, they're tilted to one side or the other. Here, the left side is greater than the right side, so the arrow is pointing to the right. The left side is greater than the right side. So for 5x plus 6 equals 31 is greater than 31, subtract 6 from both sides. Now 5x is greater than 25. Divide by 5, and x is any number greater than 5. Here, the arrow is pointing to the left when we start. Negative 3x plus 19 is less than 13. Subtract 19 from both sides. Negative 3x is less than negative 6. Be very careful here. When you divide by negative 3, remember the flip the arrow rule. We're going to reverse the arrow into the other direction because we divided by a negative. So x is any number greater than 2. If this is confusing, Pick a number greater than 2, like 5. 3 times negative 3 times 5 is 15, negative 15. Plus 19 is positive 4. 4 is less than 13. You have to pick a larger number than 2. For example, what if we choose 0? Then this term will be 0, and 19 is not less than 13. So you'll have a false statement. All right, so that's the nature of inequality sets. I'm not going to go over reviewing that. You should know that for the SAT. All right, but plugin can be useful. Maybe we can use it for this one, for the more advanced ones. Some of the SAT word problems are with a single equation, but there are extra steps to solve the problems. Be careful in reading the paragraphs presented. Here in example 3, it says, if x and y are positive consecutive odd integers where y is greater than x, which of the following is equal to y squared minus x squared? All right, since this is a general rule that follows the number pattern for odds, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down that set of odds. Numbers like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, dot, 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 right? And on. 17, 19, 15, 17, 19. So that means if I pick any 2 odd numbers, y squared and x squared, it should work. So I won't make it too difficult. I could pick 5 and 7 because they're consecutive odd integers. Or I could pick, as long as they're 2 in a row. So why don't I pick, doesn't matter. I want to pick 5 and 7. All right, so here we go. So what I'm saying is, if I let x equal 5 and y equal 7, then what do we have? We have 49 minus 25. Well, that's equal to, 50 minus 25 is 25, so it's 24. So we know that x is 5 because we chose x to be 5. So now we have to see, is that the same as A, B, C, or D? So if it's A, and this is solving by plug-in, 5 times 4 is 20. If it's B, 10 plus 2 is 12. 10 plus 4 is 14. And this will be 24. Let's pause just for a second. Notice that eliminates A, B, and C. It can't be these expressions because it has to work for any plug-in values. And the only winner here by elimination by plug-in is D. 4x plus 4 plus 24 is a match with 24 when we chose 2 values following the rules. So a lot of students are like, is that cheating? Is that like, my teacher wouldn't be happy with that? The point is, on standardized tests, you're using your skills like an engineer. You're just going to work with the formula and you're checking it with 2 test points. Here we are using the double variable plugin, right? We're saying, oh, we'll just do a test run the formula. We're testing what? We're testing 5 squared and 7 squared. 5 squared, y squared minus x squared, right? And whatever that is, it has to match when we plug into the simplified version of the formula, which is the output of the machine, right? So that kind of thing. You have an equation and a related one according to this restriction that they're consecutive odd integers. The end. That's example 3 by plug-in. Can also be solved algebraically, but you have to know your algebra. Here's the same problem, but solving it algebraically. Since they're consecutive integers, which I just said, they're consecutive integers, let me erase all this other stuff. That means it's the set of the odd numbers. No, come back. So those are the odd numbers, right? So whatever number it is for x, y is 2 greater. So relative to x, if this is x, we define that as x, the next number is x plus 2. Because odd numbers skip by 2. This next one will be x plus 4, x plus 6. Right? If we look at this, the algebraic structure of the odd integers, right? They skip by 2s. x plus 2 gets you to 7. Add another 2, you get to 9, right? You have to do plus 2, plus 2. Plus 9 plus 2 is 11. Plus 2, you get to 13, right? That's the odd set, right? Just like the evens is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So when we represent it as an algebraic expression, x is x, but the next greater number, y, is x plus 2. So we're going to sub that in. Now the variable y has been eliminated from the expression. We let y equal x plus 2. We can use FOIL, multiply it out, x plus 2 squared. And you know how to do that, right? You know how to multiply binomials? Here, I'll show you two different methods. So we have to multiply x plus 2 times x plus 2. Here I'm with my yellow chalk, x plus 2 times x plus 2. We have to distribute the x first onto the second term. We get x squared plus 2x. And then we have to distribute the 2 onto the x plus 2, plus another 2x plus 4. So we get x squared plus 4x plus 4. Right, that's multiplying binomials. And I can't say this enough, students still to this day make this error. That's what we're distributing onto, but I'll highlight in two different colors. First, x is being distributed, so we get these two terms. Then we have to distribute the 2 onto x plus 2, and we get these two terms, and when we scale it up times 2. Okay, but that's what will be x times that, and then we just combining the middle terms together. Okay, it's 4x plus 4. So that's the simplified trinomial. There it is, x squared plus 4x plus 4. But we're taking away x squared, and we get the same answer, d. When the squares go away, that's 4x plus 4, which we had before. So the correct answer is D. Writing it here with the rectangle boxes, x plus 2, x plus 2, we can do base times height. We get x squared. We get x times 2 is 2x. We get x times plus 2 is 2x. And 2 times 2 is plus 4. So then these are the same power level. They're linear. 2x plus 2x plus 4x. And we get the same thing, x squared plus 2x plus 4 using the rectangle method of multiplying binomials. For question number 4, last one for tonight, it's an advanced level question. And here it says, if 0 is less than x is less than or equal to 8, 0 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 8, and -1 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to 3, which of the following gives a set of all possible values of x, y? Well, the wording's a little tricky, but you can really see it if I write the number set for x. So x is the numbers 1 to 8, literally. There they are. Y are these integers? -1, 0, nope, 0, 1, 2, 3. So what do we do about this? Well, we want to find the minimum and maximum, which is the least possible number and the greatest possible number. So to find the minimum value, says, well, the first thing we can do is we can use the 0. So we could do like 0, 0 times any number would be 0. So you think 0 is the least, but there's a -1 in y. So it looks like to find the minimum, which I'll put in red, we would choose -1. But then looking at the number set, we want to choose the largest number, 8. So that means that the smallest number that's possible is really -1 times 8. So that's the minimum or least. Then there are lots of different possible values, but it's up to the maximum. So just be careful. We have a negative, we have another negative, so we can make a positive. No. So to find the maximum, which I'll put in green, I would choose the largest number from the first set and the largest number from the second set. And that would give us the largest maximum product, which is 8 times 3. So finishing up, we're going to have -8 is less than or equal to xy is less than or equal to +24. Be the largest number that we can create it from these integer sets. And I have to put the equal sign there because it can be equal to that. So the correct answer is D. -8 is less than or equal to xy is less than or equal to 24. All right. Any questions on example number 4? Okay. All right, so those are easy to challenge level problems on inequalities. And the next thing we do in class, again, thanks for joining me and checking me out live here on Twitch, is we're going to do the classwork. So I always have 25 problems for classwork here for lesson number 5, inequalities. And in the interest of time, because we only have a 90-minute class, we're going to do odd questions only. So as you go through the problem set, and this is page 1, so I'm going to show you the first page of the classwork in just a moment. You'll see that there are 25 questions, but you only have to go through odd questions 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, and done. All right, so don't do the even level questions, the even numbered questions. Just a second. I'm going to replace this slide. That's annoying because it should be the classwork slide for this slide. Hold on just a second. I try and be a perfectionist as best as I can be, even to this day. Try the best I can, you know. So here's page 1 of the classwork. And if you click on the Google form, which I'll put in the chat window, you too can study along with me. Again, please just do the odd number questions and we'll go over them in 20 minutes. Here, I'm putting it in chat window. So if you click on the Google form link, it should open to classwork number 5, Linear Equalities 2023 by yours truly, JW2542. And good luck. Okay. So hello again. So here we go. So it's a nice classwork. Odd questions only. SAT classwork number 5. There's the Google form links that are active. And I'll also put it in the Twitch live stream. I'll see you guys in 20 minutes. And we'll go over, I'll show you the answer key. And then we'll go over a few select problems. Okay, so good luck with SAT classwork number 5, inequalities. Thanks for being here. I was muted. Just 2 more minutes, guys, and then I'll reveal the answers to classwork number 5. 2 more minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over the answers to, here we go with the links for the quiz, classwork, and homework for lesson number 5. And we just did the classwork form, and I'd like to reveal to you the answers to the problem set. 1 was D for classwork number 5, inequalities. 1 was D. 2 was B. 3 was A. 4 was C. 5 was C. 6 was B. 7 was A. 8 was B. 9 was B. And 10 was D. 11 was A. 12 was C. 13 was C. 14 D. 15 A. 16 was A. 17 was C. 18 was B. 19 A. And 20 was B. 21 was 1. 22 was 11 over 6. 23 was 12. 24 was 750. And finally, 25 was 107. So please check your answers, and you can pause this video if you're watching it on YouTube for classwork number 5. Last we're going to do tonight is we're going to go over just a couple of problems. I'm going to select some problems from here that seem a little bit complex, but you'll probably get the idea if we go over them. Again, it's odd numbers only. So let me see what we have here. All right, let's go over an easy level question first. I'm just going to pick a few of these. And question 1 reads, if 3b plus 1 is less than 10, strictly less than 10, which of the following cannot be the value of b? 3b plus 1 is less than 10. Take away 1 from both sides, and the new balance is 3b is less than 9. Divide by 3. So b is any number less than 3 on the number line. Okay. So if we looking at the answer choices, you don't need to draw the number of them. 3 is not allowed. And that makes sense because if you plug in 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10, but it has to be a value less than to the left of 10. So D is the correct answer. 3 would be equal to 10 and has to be less than 10. All right, let's go to question number 3. If x is an integer between 2 and 7, 2 is less than x is less than 7. How many different triangles are there with sides of length 2, 7, and x? So if it's an integer, x could be one of the following. Well, it can't be 2. It can be 3, 4, 5, or 6. Right? Those are the only integer values, right? Positive or negative counting numbers or 0, right? Those are the only positive numbers for the side length, third length of the triangle. So we have some possibilities. We have 2, 3, and 7, 2, 4, and 7, 2, 5, and 7, or 2, 6, and 7 for our triangle construction. The longest side is 7, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down the longest side, and we'll see what happens if we have these constructions. All right, that's 7 units. So here's, say, 2 units. And what I'll do is I'll mark it off quickly. All right, this is 2, 4, like 6, and plus 1 is 7. 0, 2, 4, 6, and that little extra piece is 7. 2, 4, 6, and that little extra piece is 7. 2, 4, 6, and that is 7. If this is 2, right, and that's the other side that we have, we need the third side to be long enough to attach. So let's say it's 3 units, right? Then you can see that that would only reach about this far, because that's 1, 2, 3 units that reach that far. So that's not going to close a triangle. In other words, if you were camping in the woods and your dad said, let's make a triangle with 3 sticks so that we can then use it as a frame for a tent. We'll make a whole bunch of triangles, and then we can put a canopy over it, over our set of triangles. It's like you can't make a triangle, you can't tie these together. Dad will say, no, we need a longer stick than 3 units, because the base of the triangle is 7. So the ends won't meet. Similarly, if we have 2 units on the left, here's 2, but I'm propping it up. And here's 3, 1, 2, 3, but I'm propping it up. 4, you can see that the triangles will not meet either. The ends won't meet. So 4 is not sufficient. If we have 5, that's 2. And here's 5. But you can see the triangle will have no height, because 2 plus 5 is precisely 7. So the only 3 side lengths so that we have a triangle with at least a little bit of height that satisfies the triangle inequality is if we have 2 units and 6 units. Then we have enough material for a triangle. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. We have a 2 and 6. We can construct the frame for a triangle. There's only one possible triangle if they're integer values, and that was the 2, 6, 7 triangle. These do not satisfy the triangle inequality. You should know from middle school. Here, 2 plus 6 is greater than the largest side, 7. So we can construct a triangle. And we have more than enough material. Now you have a triangle you can see here, which has at least some height. If I were to prop it up with like a support beam, you can see that there'll be some height because 2 plus 6 is greater than 7. All right, let's do one more for tonight. That's mid-level. 7, 8, 9, 10. These are all the easy level ones. 11 is supposed to be mid-level. It's a word problem. 13, 14, 15. All right. This is in paragraph form. And what you need to do is you need a highlighter. You need to just underline so you don't get lost on what the writer is asking for. Here the writer says a worker can use a forklift to move boxes that weigh either 40 pounds or 65 pounds. X are the 40-pound boxes. So we're looking for an expression with 40x for the weight, for the total weight. And Y are the number of 65-pound boxes. So we also want the expression to say 65Y. The forklift can carry either 45 boxes, okay, there's a limit, or a weight of 2,400 pounds. So be careful. 45 boxes is the most, or 2,400. So it has to be less than 2,400. It looks like it's right with that one. It's right with that one. Am I going too fast? I'm reading it and I'm like, okay, that's really equation 1. It looks like we can definitely eliminate B and C. Those are not going to be the right answers because that's the equation for the boxes is set up incorrectly. So that equation is incorrect because it's got this weird division thing. And this equation is incorrect because it should be less than 2,400 pounds. The box count has to be less than or equal to 45. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so A or D. So which one's it? Why did it say 2,400 twice? All right, so that's wrong. So the amount of boxes counted has to be less than or equal to 45. The forklift cannot stack more than 45 boxes safely on the forklift blades. There you go. So A is correct for number 15. So that's the right system of inequalities for this forklift. That first equation is for the weight of the boxes, and that second equation is for the number of boxes that can be stacked on the machine. All right. 19, 21, easy level. Let's pick a challenge level one then. It has to be this one. Another one with weight. Again, I think it's just a challenge because it's a word problem. It says the posted weight limit for a covered wooden bridge is 6,000 pounds. A delivery truck that is carrying X identical boxes, each weighing 14 pounds, will pass over this bridge. So here I'm going to try and draw the bridge as a cross section. Here's a covered bridge. It looks like a cylinder from the side, but here's the covered wooden bridge, and here's the road that leads up to it. And here's the road on the other side of the bridge. And here are the waters below the bridge. And maybe I'll draw it nicer. Here's like, it's like a stone. There's pillar number 1. Here's pillar number 2 for the bridge. And maybe it has like, here's the road inside the bridge. But you would see it like that, and then it would be like covered like that to cross over. Okay, so here's a typical bridge, and that's approaching it, and here are the waters down below, and we have a truck. So a truck is going to approach the bridge. I don't even think I'm drawing the wheels correctly, but here's like the cabin of the truck. And then here's the flatbed. Okay, so the truck is going to come down the road, and it says the truck has to be able to cross the bridge, but it has to be less than 6,000 pounds. Otherwise, it's not allowed to cross the bridge. Okay, inside the truck on the flatbed or in the cabin, there are boxes that weigh 14 pounds each. The combined weight of the empty truck and driver is, with the drivers in it, is 4,500 pounds when it's empty. And then we're going to put boxes inside that are 14 pounds each. So 4,500 plus the boxes that are 14 times X number of boxes must be less than the bridge limit for safety reasons of 6,000 pounds. What is the maximum value for X that will keep the combined weight of the truck driver and boxes of the bridge posted weight limit? So again, I think that the only thing that's tough here is the setup based on what's given. 6,000 pounds is our limit. The empty truck is 4,500. And the boxes that we're going to add, we're going to X number of boxes. So it's actually just a linear equation for this challenge problem. Subtract 4,500 from both sides. And then 14x is less than 1,500. And then dividing by 14, if you did this correctly, I think I did this with the calculator, we have x is less than or equal to 107 and 1/7. So the correct answer is, you can work with, again, the absolute maximum number of boxes, 107 boxes is maximum. If you put in 108 boxes, you're over the 6,000 pound limit. You don't want the bridge to crash. Also, if they had too big of a lunch, if the driver and his or her partner in the cabin, if they have a few extra pounds, that could be a problem. All right, but you're allowed 107 boxes. So, I mean, even if they went, like, let's say they went to McDonald's and they went to a diner and they're like, hey, let's buy some dinner and groceries and throw it in the truck with the boxes. No, you can't, because even that little extra few pounds put them over the limit. Oh, I'm laughing. Put them over the limit. Those extra, if they buy just a 10-pound bag of groceries. So you have to be really careful for these maximum weights. Otherwise, it's not safe on the suspension on the wooden bridge in Pennsylvania. All right, the end. All right, we're going to stop for tonight. Let me clear this out. And again, if you'd like to know more about me as a tutor, my name is Josh Wiener, and I've been tutoring math for a long time, over 15 years. And I've taught in public, private, and Catholic schools. My students have received high scores on the SHSAT, SAT, New York State Regents, AP, Math and Science classes. I've also tutored for the tax cooperative exam, high school placement test, PSAT, ACT, AP, Math and Science, and the graduate record exam for college students. My students have received Catholic school scholarships, admission into SHSAT schools, special high schools here in New York, college programs, graduate programs, medical school, nursing school, and business schools. So it's been an honor being a tutor for a whole diverse bunch of different people over the last 15 years. If you'd like to hire me as a personal tutor, I still have many hours available in the afternoons and evenings. And I was always interested with my files and files of math from grades 5 to 12, college and grad school, of being a tutor for someone who's interested in improving their mathematics. It's nice to go through these journeys, even though they're over and over. I do look for high quality textbooks and resources for all of my students so that they can level up with their math skills, whatever their ability is, as a major or non-major in mathematics. So thank you so much for spending some time with me tonight. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, thank you so much. Again, I offer this course for free online. Please feel free to donate at Venmo. Any amount, I recommend $50 per lesson. You'll see that that's more than a reasonable rate for a professional course like this. But here are the links to the quiz, classwork, and homework. And if you'd like to join me next week for class number 6 in these 22 free lessons this school year by donation, I'd be honored to have you as a student. Again, that will be October 17th at 7 p.m. live on Zoom. And I'll keep improving my advertising skills so that you guys can join me if you would so like to. Thanks again to the student from Oak Park, California, and the young lady from New Jersey who joined me in the last 2 lessons. I'm hoping to improve my social network skills and get the word out to principals and parent-teacher associations for a free SAT course if you would like to prep with an alumni of Columbia University Teachers College. So thank you so much, and take care. Again, this is a service to the community and a way of saying thanks. I really did, by donation, pay for and make it through college after a lot of years as a performer and musician in New York and around the United States. If you'd like to know more about me, also check out my YouTube channel and Twitch channels. My YouTube channel has over 500 subscribers now, and I've been live there since 2007. So thank you so much for your support. And I created that channel for folks who wanted more from me than just a juggling show, want to know a little bit more about me and what interests me. And also, it is YouTube, as of this writing in 2023, is still a free service. So enjoy those videos. And as I continue to try to improve content on my YouTube channel. Thanks so much, and good night, and have a peaceful week. Maybe I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me here tonight. Bye-bye.